Diet doesn't cure you. It won't cure you. It will help your symptoms. It will help your body so that you can be closer to homeostasis. However, you're still going to flare. You are still going to flare. So, I recommend that you pay attention to your diet. I recommend that you don't just be awful to your body because that's only going to make things worse. However, with all the crap that we go through and all the crap that we feel, if you want to eat that cake, eat the cake, sis.
Have you tried yoga? Maybe you should see a psychologist. Are you stressed? Change your diet. Acupuncture. Try stretching. Sleep. You've been doing so well. Stop stressing. Anxiety. Functional? Functionality.
Functionality. Functionality.
Welcome back to the Functionality Podcast. I'm your host, Tausha. How are y'all functioning? The tea of the day is turmeric tea because it helps with inflammation, and I'm having a little bit of tummy upset, which goes right in line with the topic of the day, which is what's the tea on FND and diet. Whew, man, oh man, what a journey this has been for me. So this turmeric tea is something I keep on hand because diet and tummy trouble is something that is no stranger to me. So I know exactly what to do. So what's the tea on FND and diet? Well, first I want to say that aside from FND, I also have to cater my diet to ulcerative colitis, which I have, and endometriosis, which I suffer from. So there are lots of restrictions. There's lots of similarities between all three things when it comes to the diet that is recommended or the diet that works. And then there's lots and lots of triggers. Lots of things that can just make one meal turn into a whole messed up week. But let's see. Before I even started experiencing FND symptoms, like I say, I suffer with ulcerative colitis. So I was trying to figure out what I could do to make my diet better, to make my body stop betraying me. And so I actually was in the middle of trying Plant Paradox by Dr. Stephen Gundry. And that overall, it was still kind of meat heavy. It was also pretty expensive. And it was hard to find some of the things, and it just wasn't working for my lifestyle overall. So I am not on Plant Paradox, but I still do stick to some of the things, but it's just not a strict Plant Paradox diet. And then also, it wasn't what the rest of the house was eating, so I felt like I was having to make 4 separate meals. Even before I did Plant Paradox, I actually tried to dip into paleo, which is kind of similar. But see, Plant Paradox is like grain free, absolutely grain free, but you can eat like grass fed meats and cage free eggs and like the highest quality of the animal proteins. So it's more of a lectin-free diet, and I'm not going to go into the whole lectin thing, but it's a lectin-free diet, so grain-free for sure is the focus of that, and it's not just gluten-free, it's grain-free overall, and so that's why it was expensive, but I totally understand the concept of it because I listened to the audiobook, the Plant Paradox audiobook, and the biggest thing I learned from the book was to pay attention to what food is trying to tell you. I've always had to be food conscious since my UC symptoms started, and that was, I don't know, back in middle school, but the way that food has transitioned and the way that restaurants and companies advertise food with all this extra sauce and it's just dripping and all these extra hot peppers and this extra meat. I honestly think Arby's is the worst. Sorry. I mean, we have the meats. It's really like every time I see those commercials, me and Mommy Junior are like, oh God, because all these burgers and all these sauced up fries or sauced up wings and tenders and these super duper loaded fries and things now, and then you have burgers with onion rings on them and handfuls of fries and fried eggs plus a side of fries plus milkshake. It's just, I mean, obesity aside,
you need to stop.
I mean, really, it's a lot. So I have to be very, very food conscious. I mean, even when people, it's the things people don't even think about is like people just like, hey, you want to go get a coffee? And I'm like, yep, can't get coffee. Can't drink coffee because caffeine is my biggest trigger. So you wouldn't want to be around me if I went to a coffee shop with you. And I mean, even caffeinated tea. So it's caffeine all together that is an issue. I mean, admittedly, I will drink a Jack and Coke every now and then, but I know what I'm getting myself into, and it's like not a whole lot of Coke. So I try to do better with that. But that leads me to things are good in moderation, but your body will literally tell you when something doesn't fit right with it. If I take 2 shots of Jack, 3 shots of Jack, my body's like, oh, okay, she's tripping. She wants to fight. So then that's what I get the next day is a fight. But if I take like 1 shot or just have 1 drink, then I'm okay. Like I can hang, like just a little social whatever. But those are the things that I've always had to think about. And so imagine, and for those of you who do experience symptoms, you can probably relate, having to also now factor in FND symptoms on top of all of the factoring in and all of the restrictions that I kind of already had when it came to food and socialization and things like that. People say, hey, you want to go out to eat? And I'm like, can't. There's things that I couldn't eat. There's restaurants that I don't feel comfortable going to because I kind of stopped going out to eat in general because I couldn't control my reaction to food for a long time. For a very long time. And so that in itself is a restriction. So you have to learn what your body is telling you, or else it will just literally control you and keep you from everything in life that is supposed to be kind of pleasurable. And so if you ate too fast, too little, too much, it'll tell you. It can't talk, but it just gives you signs. And when you learn to listen to those signs, then you can gain back some harmony with your body. One thing I just recently learned is that I can't eat blueberries anymore. My stomach just says no. Every time, like I did experiments, I was like, let me try to eat these and then not eat them for a few days and then eat them and then not eat them for a few days. And every single time my body and my stomach acted up. So, okay, blueberries are out. I can't have a black bean based meal. I can have a little bit of black beans in things, but if it's like black bean burgers, no. Some type of like sweet potato, black bean casserole or something, can't do it. And I can't have corn. So those are just like just a little example of some of the restrictions of things that I just can't do, that I can't incorporate into my diet, which unfortunately, maybe fortunately, means that my family doesn't get it very often at all. I can't even remember the last time that I put corn in anything. I really actively avoid corn. Learn that from the plant paradox for sure. It's like nothing good for you. Although I eat popcorn a lot, so super contradictory, I guess. Oh, well, that's my life. But I mean, it's not easy, but it's called adaptability. And I've only known that for my whole life. And I don't expect the things that are working for me now to continue to work for me until the day that I die. I know that things are going to change. I know that my body is going to stop accepting things that it accepts now and then maybe start accepting things that it didn't accept. I actually had a time when I was feeling like I was allergic to pineapples and like my throat would get scratchy and my mouth would get all dry and it would feel like it was starting to get a little swollen. And that lasted for like 2 or 3 years. And then I kept trying it. I kept saying, come on, body, like pineapple's real good. We can do this. And so then recently, I want to say beginning of this year, I tried it and I was okay. So see, the body does adapt to things. But so since I don't do paleo, I don't do plant paradox, I switched to a plant-based diet a year ago. Plant-based diet, and I am not strict about it. I don't have some strict, oh my gosh, you ate meat. However, it's like a 90% plant-based. And then I also eat shrimp. Sue me. This is not to say any recommendations or say that I'm doing anything completely right. I'm just saying what works for me and then how it relates to FND as well. And then other chronic illnesses, because that's really my whole story. And so I'm loving the food. I definitely did lose weight. I lost weight and I lost muscle mass, and I'll kind of go into maybe a little bit more of why I think so. It might not just be the diet switch, but I definitely did. And I still feel better about my choices. But guess what, guys? It still didn't cure me. Oh my God. It didn't cure me. So all these people who are like, why don't you just change your diet? Like, okay, did it. What else you got for me? Why don't you just do yoga? Did it. Do it. What else you got for me? Have you ever tried acupuncture? Absolutely, I have. Love it. Still didn't cure me. What else you got for me? Maybe try the chiropractor. On it. So, diet doesn't cure you. It won't cure you. It will help your symptoms. It will help your body so that you can be closer to homeostasis. However, you're still going to flare. You are still going to flare. So, like, I recommend that you pay attention to your diet. I recommend that you don't just be awful to your body, because that's only going to make things worse. However, with all the crap that we go through and all the crap that we feel, if you want to eat that cake, eat the cake, sis. Eat the cake. If you want to eat those chips, eat the chips. If you want to have those wings once a month, eat the wings. Absolutely eat the wings. Just make smart choices. I mean, I'm not saying anything new. Smart choices is really the whole name of the game, especially with FND, because you have to learn your body. Nobody else is going to help you. Nobody else is going to learn your body like you can. So pay attention. And then if you do want to make some switches, start slowly. Start slowly. Maybe start with 1 meal a day. Start with the basics. Get some good recipes. I have an entire Pinterest board that I use, and I have, I don't know, 600 and something pins. And that is how I make food for my family all the time. And this is, so I've only been doing this for a year at this point, but we have some good meals, you guys. We have some really, really good meals. My brother is vegan. Shout out to my best brother. He's vegan, and he was trying, like, I used to talk bad shit about him. Like, why are you doing this? Why would you make these choices? Like, what do you eat? And like, oh, okay, tofu. What? I was so sleep on tofu. We love tofu in this house now. So like, don't sleep on the things that might be good for you. I mean, I can't even. I'm just sitting here thinking about all the delicious meals I've made. So if you want access to my Pinterest or some recipes or how to get started, please don't hesitate. Even if you don't suffer from FND or anything, even if you're just interested in switching your diet or trying to try some new recipes, please come to me for recommendations. Like, oh, food has never been so good. I used to get so bored of like making this chicken in a skillet, baking this chicken. I wasn't a big fryer. I didn't fry chicken. Like I said, always been food conscious. But like, the way that plant-based food is so delicious, probably like it's one of the like hidden keys of life. So you should try it for sure. For sure. I mean, I make so many curries. Okay, yes. It's everything. So try it. Try it. Don't be scared to try it. I mean, especially if you are experiencing some symptoms and things and you like, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? If you don't like it, guess what? Just continue the diet that you're doing. But you could love it. You could adopt some of the things. Take some chickpeas and throw them in an air fryer and throw a little bit of sauce on it. And all of a sudden you got a good snack. Throw a little bit of like, maybe not salt, maybe sea salt, whatever. And I mean, you have a really good protein snack. And that's plant-based. So it's like some of the things we don't even think about probably that could be an option are things that I eat now, and I'm like, wow, if only I would have known this my whole life. I think that I could have avoided probably a lot of the times that I didn't go to social events and tried to hide in. Like, I would just bring my own food now, like, or I would like tell people, hey, no, let's go to this place instead. Let's go try this Thai restaurant. Let's go do this and that. So that's the things that I do now. I also take sea moss. Sea moss is a part of my diet, and I really think that it helps keep everything kind of flowing smoother than it would without. And my tea. I make my own sea moss, by the way. I just get the dried sea moss from a company. It's called Holistic Vibes. I'll put it in the description. But I take it and I blend it up after I soak it for a while, and I make my own sea moss, and you can flavor it, and it's a beautiful thing. Really easy. I'm all about the DIYs, even though sometimes I don't want to do anything myself. I am more so a DIY person than just, hey, let me buy this, because I want to understand and know what is in the stuff, especially the things that I am putting inside of my body. And so also tea. That's another reason why I really like loose leaf tea, because I can see it and make sure that, I mean, I don't know exactly what things, all these herbs and things look like, but I can look at it instead of just saying like, okay, this, whatever's in this bag, I'm going to go for it and I'm going to drink it. So loose leaf tea, I do love, like I said. Okay, so now that I have talked a little bit about what my journey was and how plant-based diet is love, I do want to talk about a little bit of the journey as far as symptoms and eating, and just how FND has impacted my food intake and my diet. So overall, I never really ate a lot. I wasn't a huge eater. I'm more of a snacker, but I'm a healthy snacker. But my meals themselves were never huge. That also goes back to the UC, goes back to the endo. So I've always done things a little bit different than other people. So, I mean, even from a child all the way till now, if you take me to a restaurant, or if I go to a restaurant, one thing about me, I'm going to leave with a carry-out box. I sure am, because I don't eat full meals. And the kids actually, so that got worse, way worse when it came to FND. On my bad days, not even necessarily on my bad days, I had a full month, maybe month and a half, where I was eating, I want to say, 500 calories a day. I was eating popcorn, and I might have had a small meal, maybe some noodles or something. And the kids used to be so surprised / concerned, because my portions were smaller than theirs, and my portions are smaller than theirs. And so I would sit down at the table, and at first they would laugh like, what is that? And I just had to kind of really explain it to them truthfully, because it hurt my feelings. It hurt my feelings because it was like, what kind of life is this? I like food. I do. Even though the UC and everything, I still have this like piece of my heart that gets really happy with really good food. But if I can only eat like 4 bites of a meal and then like, woof, I'm done here, then that, I mean, it sucked. It absolutely sucked. And so what happened then, I stopped sitting at the table. I stopped sitting at the table with the family because I couldn't stand the pain of sitting in the chairs at the table. I couldn't sit upright. And I wasn't even eating enough to warrant me sitting down. Like by the time I sat down and like in my pain sat down and like started eating, I was done. So I might as well just keep on standing up. Might as well just keep standing up. And that sucks, because now that I have journeyed a bit and I have better quality of life, I actually can sit at the table a couple times a week. And guess what? Mommy Junior gets so happy when I sit at the table. It's actually a treat for her. That makes me sad, but happy at the same time, because she's the sweetest girl ever. And her birthday is this weekend, by the way. So make sure you guys say happy birthday, Mommy Junior. But yeah, it makes me happy because she loves me, but it makes me sad because the other day she was like, this is a great day. And I was like, why? And she was like, because you sat at the table twice with me. And I was like, it's the little things. The little things that I don't even really think about. I just don't sit there because I can't. She misses that. She needs that. And so now I'm making it a point more so now to try to get back to doing that. And I mean, that was back when I used to live on my beanbag. I am not kidding about that. I am not kidding. I was on that thing all day. I wasn't cooking. So that was another reason why I transitioned out of plant paradox and into plant-based, because for a while there, I couldn't keep up with plant paradox. I couldn't make the grocery runs for Plant Paradox, and then I kind of figured out some basics and some staples when it came to plant-based. Like, okay, I can buy this tofu. You can buy tofu in advance, 3, 4, 5 packs, cut that up. It was easy. So that's another thing about being plant-based. It became easy. It was easier for me almost than cooking animal protein. I just want to say again, don't sleep because you think it might be so difficult. It sounds difficult because it's new, but it really is easier to me. You don't have to make sure the meat is fully cooked and stuff like that. Like making the sauces and things, it is so easy. But when I did get back into cooking, one thing that I really noticed was that I had lots of nausea, even around food smells. And so that's another reason why I couldn't sit at the table. If I was like not eating, because there would be plenty of meals that I would make and not eat. So many times I'm standing there and I make dinner, and then when I'm done with dinner, I'm like, I'm not eating that. I cannot eat that because I'm nauseous. I want to say at least once a day, but I have figured out a way to avoid that or make it so that doesn't intrude into my life because I have these nausea bracelets. I have this one. I have this one. And I love them. They are everything because it's not a pill that I have to take. It's not anything that I have to keep up with. And it's just, I put them on. I leave them on. They are fashionable. And if you go back to the rest of the episodes, you'll see I'm wearing them in every single one. I really want to say every single one. I probably have them on because I wear them every day. If I don't, I try not to sleep in them. Sometimes if I'm nauseous before bed, though, I'll go to sleep in them. But if I don't sleep in them, I wake up and I put them on because I would say 7 times out of 10, I'm nauseous when I wake up. Yeah, it's not cute. So get some nausea bracelets if you're nauseous. Eat noodles and brothy things or like light saucy things if you can't eat heavy meals. That's what I did. I had to crawl myself out of what I thought was gastroparesis because it just felt like my body wasn't digesting, it wasn't moving, it was just kind of like sleeping. And so like I would eat and then I would feel like it was coming back. I was dry heaving. It was a whole hot mess. And then losing weight and feeling super weak because I was getting no calories. Like I said, in that month I was eating no calories, feeling super weak, feeling super like I was fading away. And so that's another reason why I was talking about like I lost a lot of weight and muscle mass because why I don't think that it came from the diet alone, because it was also because I just like wasn't eating. There was times when I was so concerned, like, oh my gosh, I've probably had 200 calories today. And then I was like, I don't even know how I'm functioning. A lot of times I don't know how I continue to function, but I do. And I try to like, okay, if I know I haven't had a lot of calories in one day, then if I am going to eat another meal, I try to make that one count. Like I try to make it high protein, high, all the good things so that I can balance out a little bit. But I can't remember the last time I had 2,000 calories in one day. No. I mean, maybe on the days like where I like drinking a beer or two, but other than that, no, like I literally can't remember. And it sucks. It sucks because I was very muscular because I've been athletic my whole life. And sometimes I like touch my arms or I look at myself in the mirror and I get so sad. But I guess I'm here to tell everyone, like, at least we're still here. At least we are still trying to figure out how we can be better. This is not the end of the road. So, I mean, I've wanted things to change about my body before and I have changed it. So all I know now is like, okay, no, I can't exercise and lift weights and do all the things like I used to do. But what I do know is I kind of want some of that muscle mass back. So I'm trying to figure out a way to work on that. And I think that's a part of diet too, is making sure you go outside, get some sun, do some walking, get the right amount of sleep. All of that ties into your diet and how your diet is going to be beneficial or harmful to what you're doing and what kind of life you're trying to live. It's a lot. It's a lot to think about, and diet is what fuels us. It's our fuel. It's just like the fuel that goes into the car or the electricity that goes into our gadgets. we won't be functioning without it. There will be no functionality. So we need to, that's a thing. Like when people say, why don't you change your diet? I know they mean it from like a nice place, because it is huge. Next to sleep, that like your diet is everything. Your diet is really everything. So if you haven't thought about changing your diet, if you haven't thought about addressing your diet, if you don't know where to start, send me a question. If you don't know where to start, Google is your friend. You don't even have to ask me per se. Google is your friend. Look up plant-based options. Just, think about what you know. Stop doing fried foods as much. Stop doing as much meat. Cut out the sodas. Cut out the coffee. Cut out the creamers. Cut off the excess sweets and see what your body does. See if it gets any better. So that is the tea on FND and diet. And I actually think that I might do a Blisslets giveaway soon, because I really recommend these things. So stay tuned for a possible giveaway from Functionality. Till then, be intentional, be faithful, and be humble. Bye-bye.